think we're, gents, I think we're on, boys, but we'll just give our raging fans just a couple of minutes to join us, obviously. Smack bang on 8:31 and 59 seconds for an 8:30 kickoff. So exactly where we should be. But we'll give them a couple of minutes to join us, obviously. But Nick, welcome, brother. Shane, always a pleasure. Before we jump into it, gents, how was the week? Nico?
Hello, Nathan. Hello, Shane.
Hi, Nick.
Yeah, it's good to be back 2 weeks in a row, isn't it? It's nice. It's getting comfortable.
Something new.
I hope that different time slot though, so we're still a bit here, there, and everywhere, but that's okay. How was your week, Shane? Tell us something funny or exciting.
Oh, look, it was excellent. Went to a third birthday party on Sunday, and things got a little bit haywire, which is always fun. And then noticed on Foxtel they were advertising something quite exciting. It was a Tom Cruise month of all his movies. So I have been absolutely pummeling Tommy Cruise over the past couple of days. Not literally, yes, I know, but working through the Eyes Wide Shut, of course, is one of his classics, into Top Gun, into a little bit of Collateral. So
there's some fantastic scenes in Eyes Wide Shut. There's some great scenes
yeah,
in that.
very, very spiritual. I suppose based on the time slot we're in tonight, we could probably talk about some of those scenes.
Have you seen Eyes Wide Shut, Nathan?
Look, I've seen snippets of it, Nico. I think it was a bit of fast forward shot back in the day. Might have been about 16, 17. Fantastic acting in it, I think, at that stage in their lives. So great acting.
Yeah.
So you've seen snatches of the film?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of shots, as it were. But look, gents, let's get into it. First of all, welcome back, ladies and gents. If you haven't seen the viewership, and we don't get caught up on views, but 4,500 views, episode 2, if you don't mind, Shane. But
wow,
welcome, lads. All pleasure. That's all right, isn't it? It's all right.
Yeah, it's a great number.
Right. But,
excellent.
Shane, what were you up and about this week?
Oh, look, the cold weather, the return of the cold weather, it really genuinely feels like it's footy season now. We're deep into it. The winter solstice has come and gone, and that's what I was particularly excited about. And obviously, I'm getting a little bit swept away with your boys. I think the entire the Australian media, not just football media, sporting and current affairs, they all are getting lapped up by this Orange tribe from down on the Gold Coast. So very exciting to see Matt Rowell possibly put his second best on ground together and firm up in the Brownlow tip. He's a big chance. He gets it.
I had a cheeky look today. See what he's paying? I think it's $13.
What's he paying?
13, 19,
get
13,
on it.
30, something? I don't know. No idea. But
sure you don't. Sure you don't know.
That's a range of numbers. Pick your favourite. But I think I did have a little cheeky look. I can't remember who's topping it still. I think Dusty still might be thereabouts. I think Fife was shooting about $9 or $13. But strong start by the kid. I did sneak him a cheeky little DM in Instagram too, by the way. So and if you're watching, brother, get on.
Oh God,
get on.
Fanboy.
Hey, Matthew.
Hey, Matthew. Hey.
But no, Gold Coast Suns, mate, it is a great time to be a ravishing supporter of them. Nicky J, welcome, mate. How was your week? More importantly, what were you up and about?
Nathan and Shane, it's very telepathic. Myself and Shane, similar stuff. The Gold Coast Suns were close to being my up and about week, but I'm about footy clubs. How good are footy clubs? Football clubs are everything. So you've got age groups varying from 17 to, you could be the 80-year-old boot starter. But now that, particularly in this part of the world where we live, where restrictions are allowing us to get back to footy, there's no better place to be. There honestly is no better place to be. So I'm up and about footy clubs, and I'm a bit of a shout out this week. I'm wearing the Falcons beanie. My boys down there in Melbourne have yesterday found out their season won't be going ahead. So just throwing this one out to the boys, and I hope they stay healthy and well and bring on 2021 for them. But fortunately, up here in the Sunshine State, we've kept things in check, and footy will go ahead. So I'm up and about footy clubs. Nathan, what are you up and about?
Good question, Nico. Look, I'm up and about the show. To be fair, we've got a bit of traction. It's kicked off a little bit sooner than we thought. I thought by year 4.5, I thought we'd get some traction, but it's good to see everyone jumping on board. Gents, let's get into the long bomb. We had a brief discussion, shall we say, in our 1.5-minute ferocious planning for this evening's show. But big news out of Essendon. Obviously, we've got the COVID crisis. There's talk of Western Australia just putting their hand up for the grand final as well. A lot to cover here, boys. I'm aware of the 60-minute time frame as well, so we could speak about this for 3 days, let's be honest. But Shane, what are your thoughts, mate? A lot being said. It was positive. He was negative. Are we positive he's negative? I think he is negative. Shane, what's your take, brother?
Mate, it's got to be at the G. I'm sorry. I know that those rabid West Australians have missed out on a legitimate cricket test match this summer, but so be it. It's a long way away. It's the heartland. It is still the Victorian game. Yes, it's a national game. Yep, okay. But the MCG, 100,000 people. Andrews will pull out all stops to get that sort of number there at the big dance. So the whole lead up, the public holiday, the spiritual element of Melbourne at that time of year, absolutely the big G, make it happen.
Shane, it can't happen.
It has to happen, Nick. It has to happen.
As a Victorian, as a purist, the grand final should always be at the MCG, except for in circumstances like this. Victoria is an absolute basket case at the moment, and it's really disappointing to actually be saying that at this point in time when you've got, and I'm aware that footy competitions down there are closing down purely based on the finances. There's absurd money being thrown around for players. They can't get the revenue. I understand that. But the point is, some breaking news. I can tell you that Collingwood will be going to Western Australia. They'll be going into a hub purely because, like, why would you move one of the biggest clubs away from Victoria? It's because we're so far away from seeing crowds in Victoria. I know it's the start of the season, a 17-round season. We're so far away from seeing crowds. At this point in time, if you had to lock something in now, it's got to be Western Australia. The grand final will be at Optus Stadium because they're going to have crowds. So they're saying that they'll be at 60,000 in a couple of weeks. South Australia will be at half capacity. Queensland are moving. It's everywhere but Victoria at the moment, Shane.
Yeah, let's maybe look at a compromise. Why don't we play? I know it's never really been talked about, I don't think, in this forum, and we cover some pretty serious territory here, guys. But a best of 3. Why don't we talk about that? Adelaide Oval, Perth. It is the event that the corporates seek out. It is the event the supporters all want to go to. Why don't we look at best of 3? State of Origin, it's there. They do that in the NRL. That's their showpiece. Our showpiece is that. Why not?
I'll jump in quickly because
bloody hell.
It's a better product, Shane. It's a simple. Yeah. It's a better product. Why would you cheapen it by diluting it by suggesting that we need 3 of the showpiece events to compete? It's not a competition. As much as the NRL hierarchy like to think it's a competition, mate.
I'm sure the AFL are feeling it as well. Yep. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it ceased to be a competition 10 years ago, mate. But
Nathan,
anyway, Nico,
you're spot on, man. You're spot on. You know why? Because rugby league's pinnacle is the state of origin, and the fact that they're playing at the back end of the year is probably the reason why people are talking about this 3-game grand final suits AFL. You can't do it, and I'm not being facetious or trying to be humorous at all here, Shane, in saying this, but the last time that there was 2 grand finals within 2 weeks, and don't say, oh, here we go, but I'm being honest here. The second, the after the replay in 2010, the grand final, it wasn't a grand final. You had one team that was severely hampered by the occasion, the moment, whatever. It's one hit. And I'm all for what the AFL have gone with now. If the grand final's a draw, you go to extra time. And St Kilda would have won the flag in 2010. So my club doesn't win a flag then. But we're not America. And there's a number of things we could go and sidetracking here saying we're not America. Okay, with a couple of things that are going on. But we're not going to touch on those. We're not America. We've got some issues, but we're not America. So we're not going to do 3-game series. We're not going to be playing in indoor courts and things like that. I think if the grand final should be at the MCG, but at the moment it's at Optus Stadium for me.
All right, boys, let's wrap that up. But let's kick it off into the round that was. First one, mate, we kicked off the tipping in shambles. Not one of us picked it. Quite possibly
God.
I'd say the upset of the round, but it really wasn't. But Shane, let's bring you in here, mate. Got Richmond getting absolutely annihilated by Hawthorn. So a lot to touch on. Dusty obviously didn't play. Anyone that kind of suggests that would have made a difference are fools. But Shane, mate, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, look, I was quick to write off the Hawks. I was hoping for them to have a couple of down years, just for a variety of friends of mine who have had just this enormous deluge of success over the past decade and a half. But they were awesome. They were awesome. Some of their recycled players that we laughed at last week, the Amira and Mitchell, and not quite Johnny Patton, but there's quite a few others. They were right at the top of their game. Wingard's a star. He's enjoying the lack of media exposure. They played well. No Dusty, no Tigers, but that's not the case. They were flat. They looked tired. I don't know where to go. I'm sure they've got quite a few tricks up their sleeve because they haven't been at the pinnacle of the game for no reason. There's quality there, but they need to find a way to catch that spark again.
Nico, they have started slow, but it's a long season. It's a long season. So, look, are you taking much from this?
I am a little bit. In the piloted episode for our loyal viewers, we debated whether Richmond could be beaten. I'm not going to say can Richmond win a game. That's ridiculous. But I spoke about the hunger in terms of a premiership. They've been to the top of the mountain. The hunger's not there for Richmond. That's the reality. And I don't care what anyone says. Your hardened Richmond supporters can see that. Jack Riewoldt doesn't care. But Hawthorn, that was the oldest side to ever take a field at AFL, VFL level, and they've spanked the so-called greatest team in the last 5 years. So well done to the Hawks. And, it shows you how fickle the game is. We said there's no way known Hawthorn can win this. They belted them.
Hawthorn, They did really well. Wingard bagging a few. Am I the only one seeing a little bit of a story potentially playing out around Wingard for this season here, gents? I know he's shut up camp from his end, but I know it's early, but I see a little story developing here. It's quite exciting.
Oh, a little exclusive or something, a little bit of a... So what some sort of media...
We can't talk
sorry, yeah, understand.
And he can talk about it.
Well, with 4,500 views, we are now a critical part of the Australian media landscape.
We are
Let's go, boys.
Could we be the ones to break his duck? Could we be the ones to break his duck?
I think so. Let's look. I'll cut this piece up for him. Wingard, come have a chat.
Wear your long sleeves. You can wear your long sleeves if you come on with us.
Giddy up. All right, let's move on to the second one, mate. The Bulldogs. I don't know what to make of them. I do know that Smith's got quite possibly the greatest haircut in the last 30 years of AFL, but getting the job done. Nico, it was messy. They seemed to control the match without being in control, if that makes sense. But how do you see this one, brother?
Well, the story here is the story of the Dogs or is the story of the Giants? So I think, the Giants, everyone's talking the Giants up this is the time, the list, but the conditions in the situation of the season, it throws up so many unknowns, but that was shocking. 4 goals, 9. It was one of their lowest scores of all time. And remember, they kicked 3-7 in a grand final. So they've kicked under 5 goals twice in their last 3-4 matches. There's some problems up there at the Giants. But the Doggies, they've had a very ordinary start to the year. They needed to win this game. They needed to win it more, and they wanted it more. And that showed. They're good to watch when they're on, but they were terrible early. So hard to get a gauge on either of those teams at this point. Did you watch it, Shane?
I did, absolutely. And look, they're I know that they've got incredible depth up there on at the Blacktown Stadium, but they're missing. So Whitfield went down early, Kelly, Green, Taranto out before the game. Like that, they are 4 absolute class midfielders. Any other team would really feel the pinch, and the expectations would immediately drop if 4 of those caliber sort of guys were missing. So, and then conversely, Toby McLean and Libba came in and had that bit of spirit and that bit of premiership class. So, look, they just need to get a full squad, and I understand they're coming up to the SEQ hub in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, they've got to get back on track somehow, GWS. But Doggies, they were solid. They were passionate. They were fierce. Yeah, and Liberatore and those sort of guys bring that spirit back into the kennel.
Yeah, fair play. Look, we won't spend too much time on the next match because I didn't watch it. No interest. But Sydney getting it done in the first half, really. All kind of jokes aside, Shano, is this there's obviously positive signs for Sydney, but you know, I still think they're on a heavy slide. Big Bud Star, obviously, part of that narrative. But where do you see Sydney from here?
Oh, look, they'll battle. They will play a lot of contested footy throughout the year. Josh Kennedy absolutely destroyed them on the weekend. Luke Parker's still around, so they've still got the Warriors doing the job. But it's just that next level. Heaney's a gun, absolutely. Playing as a one-out forward, I'd like to see him play a bit more mid. But look, those Warriors are going to toil. They're going to keep their team in the game for long periods of any match. So they'll get the odd win, but I can't see them. I can't see them threatening the 8 anyway.
No, well, Nick, none of us picked them for starters. And after 3 games, just as a bit of keep it in context, Shane is leading the tipping on 1 vote. But, Nico, any thoughts on Sydney here?
Have we not tipped a winner?
I tipped the Doggies.
No. Yeah, exactly. We are, mate. We are struggling, but we'll catch up. I've read this book. I know the results. It's fine.
Your maths might be out. I'm confident I tipped Collingwood, but we'll get to that game shortly. But what I would say about this game here is the second and third quarter by North Melbourne was atrocious. The second and third quarter by North Melbourne was absolutely atrocious. That's where they lost the game. They kept the Swans goalless in the final term, but it was too late. What I will say is Reece Shaw is very refreshing as a coach. He seems human. He seems personable. But as a player at Collingwood, he was disgusting.
How do you top that? But let's move on to your boys. Collingwood having an absolute, a decent performance, a strong performance against a underwhelming St Kilda side. Look, a lot was said prior. Shane, we'll bring you in first, mate. You were very, very confident.
Yeah.
And I think you were confident of at least being competitive, I think is fair.
Yep.
Still Sidebottom had a day out. Your hot tip for the Brownlow, very, very solid game as well, which is going to be a pretty consistent side across the year. Mate, talk us through the Saints' performance.
Yeah, look, I was lost just based on the first quarter. Collingwood came out and they were well oiled. They were ferocious at the footy. They were ferocious at the man. When they get the footy, they just had so much time. I still can't comprehend why people aren't running with Steele Sidebottom week in, week out. I know there's a lot of quality mids there at the Pies, but he's one of the best distributors on by hand and by foot in the comp, and he just gets so much of it. So, and I guess just to top it off, our dual ruck combination of Ryder and Marshall going in there to hammer Grundy, absolutely backfired. Grundy just absolutely smoked both of them. He was what a player. Yeah. The multi-million-dollar man, I get it. He just dominated that midfield contest, and everyone was feeding off him. He was an absolute star.
Nico, your boys, strong performance. A lot of talk about them being premiership favourites at the moment, quite possibly being touted as the most rounded football form side at the moment. How did you see this one, mate? And we'll try not to speak for 12 minutes as been accused. Shout out to Lenny. But Nick, thoughts on Collingwood's performance?
Start the clock. Wearing the Brody Mychek shirt tonight. He kicked a couple, got a couple of votes in the Coaches Association Award as well, did young Brody. So the Taswegian, who's got a great football story. But I will say, Shane, Steele Sidebottom will play 400 games of AFL football.
No doubt. Yep.
Yeah. So get that down there. I'll even say this is a man. He could go 450 plus. So he's still 28, 29 years of age, and he's played 230, 240 games. He is a star. And I know what you're saying in terms of teams running with him, but I think that the fact that coaches these days, they have their structures and their game plans, and there's no role of a tagger. The role of a tagger run with, apart from who's my man at GWS, De Boer.
That's the Giant.
Yeah, so he does the belting in role. It's pretty much dead. But I would say that what impressed me about the Pies was the start and then the follow-up. So we had a good start last week and then didn't follow it up in the next quarter. We did. So to be 10 goals at half time, but the second half decided to 2 goals. But I will say about the Saints are playing a better brand of footy than they were under Richardson. So Ratton's got them playing some expansive footy. And Barndog, Nathan, my great man, I'd sent Shane a message after the game and said, commiserations, because good mates don't jump on the case. And a lot of Brisbane Lions supporters do that. They're just disrespectful, very disrespectful supporters, Brisbane Lions supporters. So I would say this in a message to Shane. I'd say it now. Shane, if you were to approach Jennifer Hawkins in a nightclub and she rejected you, would you be disappointed?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But it's expected.
It's expected. It's anticipated. Yeah.
And Collingwood defeated St Kilda.
Yep. Yeah. And you are the worthy favourites right now. It'll be interesting to see where it takes you when you head over to Perth. But looking at all the teams right now, the most professional team that has come back in with a consistent level of effort are the Pies. That's going to hold them in good stead.
Absolutely.
Could it be a Pies Brisbane Lions grand final there, gents? Played in Perth, who bloody knows? But nice little segue there if you caught that. Brisbane Lions, of course, getting up over West Coast Eagles very, very convincingly. Look, we all tipped Lions. So no Zorko, no problem. Lachie Neale potentially could get the Brownlow nod. We all know it takes usually a couple of seasons of consistency before the umpires start to look for you to give those votes off. Nicky J, you're on the hot seat, mate. A reflection of Brisbane Lions and their development and their consistency getting the tick, or another question mark over West Coast Eagles and perhaps where their own mind frame and that word hunger is sitting at the moment.
Yeah, probably a quick one on West Coast to start with. I'd say that I was a bit confused by Adam Simpson's comments during the week about wanting to get home and things like that. It was unusual timing that he spoke about that pre-game. So I'm not sure where the Weagles head's at, but in saying that, they've got a premier who's going to jag him probably 8 home games in a row in front of 60,000 supporters. So maybe there's not all doom and gloom at the moment. But in terms of the Brisbane Lions, in my time following football, this is as close a Brisbane Lions outfit set up as the glory days as the three-peat. I'm not saying that they're destined for similar success, but I would say as a football club, the way they've got people in positions off field to position themselves on the field and their recruiting methods and the way, don't underestimate the power of Grant Birchall coming in. And he's not the name of Luke Hodge, particularly for Queensland supporters who probably have no idea who Grant Birchall is, but the role that he plays in that side, his leadership and experience, mixed in with one of the best trade gets of the modern era in Lachie Neale. He'll probably play in a premiership at this club, and he'll probably win a Brownlow as well. He's a serious player. So the Lions are good to watch. They're going to be thereabouts. It's exciting times for the bandwagon supporters up here.
There's plenty of them, Nico. But Shane, we'll bring you into the conversation.
Yep.
I think also Kelly just taking a minute to settle into his new club. Look, a lot's been said about their premier getting involved and are they missing home? You know, they don't seem to have that strong intent on the football, at least consistent. Mate, how do you see this one? And West Coast, where to from here?
Oh, look, write them off at your peril. The fact is they're going to come home with an absolute smorgasbord of the games they want to play. It might be at 3:30 on a Saturday afternoon. It'll be dry. It'll be bright and sunny. It'll be warm over there in Perth. They're going to come home with exactly what the Lions are confronting and the Suns are confronting at the moment. That stay-at-home factor, no travel. I'm still bullish. Look, they're not playing. They're obviously terrible against the Suns. They were okay on Saturday night against the Lions. The conditions didn't suit them once again, but look, as long as they can keep their 8 of their first 10 in that squad on the field, that includes Nick Nat and Josh Kennedy, who's underperforming at the moment. But Oh, look, I'm not too concerned. And the fact that the Lions, their only interstate trip this year, they got smashed by Hawthorn, who I think are a middle-of-the-road side. So them beating Freo and beating West Coast in consecutive weeks, they haven't won a game in Queensland yet. So they're going okay. But, yeah, nothing too exciting, I don't think, about where the Lions are heading. Getting wins, which is always what you're after at this time of year.
Fair enough. Before we get into the Gold Coast Suns, let's touch on, I think this was the upset of the round. Carlton getting it done over Geelong. None of us seen this coming. I've been very, very hard on Carlton for a couple of years now, to be fair, but it all just seemed to click for these guys. So, Shano, mate, as much as the Gold Coast Suns are quickly becoming everyone's second favourite team, I think everyone would love to see Carlton make the finals. I think that's a fair statement.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But as a Collingwood man, that hurts, Nico. Yeah, look, they're everyone's I don't know, 12th, 13th favourite team at the moment. No, but look with Eddie coming back, with who's their co-captain down back there, Nico,
Sammy Doherty, former Brisbane Lion.
Doherty, yeah, absolutely. So there's some really good news stories, and Levi Casbolt's learned to straighten his boot up, and all these sorts of aspects. They are a bit of a few recycled guys in that mob, but they were great for 3 quarters, and then they that's like the racehorse you see, 2,400 meter race in front by 10 lengths with 200 to go, and then they absolutely hit the treadmill. They were nervous about winning. They didn't, and if it wasn't for Eddie, they probably would have fallen over. Excellent 3 quarters.
And Cripsy, he's a star, isn't
he? Cripsy, yeah.
He's got big shoulders because he carries a football club. So I'll be honest, I love Eddie Betts. He's a star, and he had the first goal of the game, but a nice tackle at the end, a bit of a snapshot that was it a shot, was it a pass? But big Cripsy, Paddy carries the football club. If he goes down, they're still in strife. But and you stole my thunder again, Shane. But I'm rapt to see Sammy Doherty back. He's just a footballer, isn't he? He'd play in any era. But I do want to go back to Eddie Betts. If anyone who watched AFL 360, I think it was last night, Eddie spoke about the racial abuse that he's copped as an Indigenous footballer. And I think in 2020, that's where we are at the moment. For that stuff to happen, I know it's pretty easy to jump on social media and throw comments, particularly on Twitter and Instagram, when you can hide who you are. There's probably nowhere to hide on Facebook. I think it's absolutely disgusting. And not to personality profile someone, but I don't know anyone who doesn't love watching Eddie Betts play footy. And to think that people would target him in that way, and hearing him speak so passionately about the awkwardness he has about his day-to-day life, and fearing what might be said to him, as well as the way he fears what happens to him on the football ground in terms of what's said to him. It was very emotional to hear him speak. So I'm rapt that he's back at Carlton, because that's where he started his footy. It's always romantic when you see stories like that. So as much as I hate Carlton as a football club, I hope that they have some success, because it's been a pretty barren 20 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, well said, Nico. Well said. Look, I think we should move on, because we could talk about that for 30 minutes at least. But pretty disgraceful to see the country still acting like it's the 1980s. But anyway, Gold Coast Suns, my boys, having an absolute field day. Adelaide Crows, absolutely poor. I had to pull that one back there. Look, a lot being said. Nico, you're on the hot seat, brother. Let's bring you in. Do you want to focus on Gold Coast? And is this a bit of a flash in the pan minute, which they should celebrate and enjoy? But a decent test coming up next week, obviously. But what do you want to start, mate? Gold Coast or Adelaide?
The Gold Coast are the most exciting team to watch in the competition. Now, I love my Pies. People have now, I think people are well aware of that fact. But as far as pure watching football for enjoyment, because you get highly emotional watching your own team, the Gold Coast Suns are the best in the competition to watch at the moment, because they play with freedom. They play high risk, high reward football. They're probably getting disrespected, and I think it might tighten up pretty quickly, boys. I think that teams are now well aware of these guys on the rise. So I think the teams are going to start to show a bit more respect. Adelaide showed no respect on the weekend, but Adelaide probably showed no respect for themselves either. They're in a world of hurt. So the two sides of the coin, you've got a club who are absolutely on the rise and a club who are still spiralling. It'll get worse for Adelaide before it gets better. And I feel for Matthew Nicks, first time senior coach going into that football club. But here's some names, boys. Matty Rao. So we're joking and talking about this young 18-year-old. He's going to be mentioned beside the Buckleys, the Judds, the Harveys, the Ablets, these guys. Lockie Weller, he's copped a lot of criticism about. I think it costed pick 2 a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But he's starting to show value now. He probably needs to. It probably reminds me of, for those viewers who are of age, when Darren Gasper crossed from Sydney to Richmond in the 90s.
Come on.
Too far back?
Love it.
So for all of our viewers in Russia, football was played in the 90s.
Oh, Darren Gasper.
Darren Gasper, he was a high trade draft pick, and then Richmond, he was much maligned by his supporters. And I think Gold Coast don't have supporters, but as neutral viewers, Lockie Weller is much maligned. So, and then Brandon Ellis comes from the Tigers, and the articles during the week were hilarious, saying, is Brandon Ellis closer to a premiership coming to the Suns than he would have been staying at Richmond? Like, it's crazy. It's the COVID era, but the Suns, they're great to watch. You should be excited, Nathan, as a Gold Coast Foundation supporter.
I am absolutely stoked, mate. Look, I jumped ship from the Lions when they come on, because I thought the Lions board at that time was a bunch of uneducated buffoons, shall we say. I didn't like how they treated some players. But Shano, a lot's been said, mate. Talia comes out and says, I don't think I've been in a team, what do you say, that's been this non-competitive before.
They're fierce words, aren't they? This is from a senior guy.
Sorry, mate.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, mate. It's like this is Matthew Nicks has to be given enough bullets to fire. I know that they are non-competitive at the moment, but they're non-competitive with 12 grand finalists from a couple of years back. So what happens with Tex? Do they bite the bullet and say, Tex, you have to go to the wing, or you're going to go, why don't you do a straight swap with Daniel Talia? You go back, follow someone. They're totally non-competitive right now. So why don't you find out how much character they actually have? They're playing at the moment without a rudder. They're heartless. I feel for Matthew Nicks, but I hope that the very interesting sort of political situation out there at the Crows gives him enough ammunition to go out there and say, guys, it's pull your socks up and accept what we're going to do, because there's going to be some hard toil. And if you don't want to be part of it, get off now.
Yeah, I think you're bang on. Gary Lyon came out and said that there seemed to be a lack of accountability at the Adelaide Crows, which has been around for years, which I found very interesting. Nick, I'll bring you in just briefly about Adelaide. You've been saying for a while now, you've been, I guess, pointing out the Crouch brothers. And in fact, I think one of your quotes was, rack them up, but can't dispose of it or can't use it properly. So you've been across this a little while, just a minute longer than most couch commentators. But where to from here, mate? You've touched on it. Is this the start of maybe a rebuild? Are we going to see like a decade-long kind of slim spelling here from the Crows?
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Nathan. I appreciate that, because it's probably something that I've overlooked with the recent commentary. But I recall that through many conversations when you were back in the UK about the Crouch brothers saying, it's all good and well getting it, but it's what you do with it. And particularly at local level, there's many warriors at local level that just get it and absolutely hack and butcher it. I played with a bloke at Maine that did that. Anyway, he's back down south now, but absolutely butcher the ball when they get it. So don't get it. You just do something else. And the Crouch boys have a history of having low percentage efficiency with the ball. And the Hugh Greenwood correspondence with Mark Rashudo during the week, he had 2 men in sight, and that was the Crouch brothers, when Hugh Greenwood was pointing out the fact that he only had 16 touches. Rashudo was like, maybe you should get the footy more. Well, why? If you get it 10 times and use it 10 times, beautiful. The Crouch boys get it 30 plus times. If they're using it 10 times, the other 20 are damaging against them. So I think that you will see at least one of those Crouch brothers not at the Crows next year.
Could I just add to that as well, Nico? Just around like a year like this where you have such underperformance, and these are guys who, you're looking at your Tex Walker and your Talias and Lynches and these sort of guys who have been really solid contributors over periods of time. But a year like this, how much does the RSN fall out of their value? So you're putting these Crouch brothers up, and they were talking about, was it Brad, I think, was hoping to go to the Gold Coast for $1 million a year. What are you going to pay for a guy like Brad Crouch now? Is he worth half that? So
I wouldn't pay him. I wouldn't spend any money on him personally.
Yeah. So
it's crazy when you think about the money, isn't it? Like, it's just stupid money that gets thrown around. I guess with this whole COVID thing and things getting tightened, who knows what the budget will look like next year. But if a bloke is running at 35, 40% efficiency, why would you want him getting the ball 30 times? It's obviously being more of an advantage to the opposition. So, hats off to Hugh Greenwood for having the courage to go back, and probably Mark Rasciuto as the director of a football club that you can smell them from here. We're some 2,500, 3,000 kilometres away. You can smell the scent from that football club. You probably just jump off Twitter, don't you? You probably don't engage with former players who are now at a club that are on the rise.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing, I thought. But moving on to the last match of the round, I haven't got a lot to say about it. Port Adelaide just getting the job done, I think, more than anything. Kicking 10-10, which I'd like to touch on in a moment. But Fremantle is pretty much exactly where we thought they'd be. I want to bring the conversation around Nat Fyfe. Obviously, a very, very skilled, solid football player. I'm pretty sure he's a Western Australian boy anyway, but one of you boys can correct me if I'm wrong. But Shano, what are your thoughts there, mate? He's not going to win a premiership at Fremantle. Do you think, I don't know anything about him, to be fair. Like, is he going to stay at Fremantle? His basis seems to be there. Is it worth him looking at a transfer to try and chase a premiership before he hits his twilight years? Because the time is just starting to catch up to old Natty Fyfe, I reckon. So, Shano, what would you do if you were Nat Fyfe?
Yeah, I don't know about time catching up with him, mate. He's still a star. He's a reigning Brownlow medalist, and he's been their heart and soul for the last couple of seasons. Particularly when Lachie Neale left, he hasn't had much support at all around the footy. And look, just actually listening to one of our supporters, Howie. I listened to the podcast that Howie had with Nat Fyfe only a couple of weeks ago, and it was an excellent piece over a couple of episodes. But look, he is well set up over in Perth. So with the family connection, with various corporate interests that he has. So look, I don't see him moving. He's absolutely a Perth boy through and through. So I think he would prefer to, similar to a Matthew Pavlich, prefer to be a one club guy, be the skipper into his latter years, and see a young crop come through. So. Still playing very admirable footy in a fairly, I guess, underskilled or young emerging sort of squad. So, yeah, I see him being over there for the long haul, mate.
Fair play. Nico, Port Adelaide kicking 10-10. They probably should have kicked away a little bit more than they did. As I said, I think they just got the job done more than anything. But just on, I guess, kicking accuracy in the AFL. We've seen Tommy Lynch. I think everyone saw Tommy Lynch miss one straight in front. You feel for the kid, but we've touched on it ourselves, Nick, quite a few times over the years. You've seen probably a couple of games, even in the round just gone, where if a team kicks straight, they probably win the game. Do you see this getting any better at all? Is it all between the ears? What's going on?
Well, I think in this particular game, it was very poor conditions. So it was very wet. And I think for a good half an hour, it was absolutely bucketing down. So I'd excuse the power for that. I know Big Charlie Dixon was missing a couple from outside 50. He's still a beautiful kick of the footy. What I will say about Fremantle is they're playing a better brand of football. They're more watchable than under Ross Lyon. And that's good. Because they were probably one team when you saw them on, you wouldn't want to watch This one was very late on a Sunday as a result of the game we won't talk about, which was the Essendon Melbourne game, which didn't happen. But Port Adelaide are on top of the ladder, boys.
And they're dangerous. They're pretty loaded through every line. Boak's leading them from the front, and Ollie Wines has come back after a little stint away, and they're dangerous. They've got quality in their kids. The Rosies and Butters and Dersner, these sort of guys are. You'd expect that the Gold Coast guys are going to.
Though, Shane, doesn't he? Let's get serious here. It's disgusting. As someone who I love a goal celebration, but it's just disgustingly putrid, and it's probably reflective of. It is. It's embarrassing. The bloke doesn't matter what the game situation is.
What about Charlie on the handlebars? You a fan of that?
No, I'm not. I'm a fan of Charlie Cameron as being the best player to lead the Adelaide Crows, better than Patrick Dangerfield, definitely. But I'm not a fan of just the one of the greatest goal celebrations of all time is just the arrogance of the great Jonathan Brown. Just does the bang, the big arm in the air, which is probably a take on the King Wayne Carey. Can you recall one of the greatest goal kickers of all time in terms of goals kicked, Peter Dacos, ever celebrating?
No.
But I'm not stupid enough to be like a Don Scott grumpy old man and go, don't celebrate, just kick the goal and move on. But Connor Rose, like this, it's embarrassing. It's just a shit celebration, and it's typical of these kids that go and play NBA Jam and Super Mario Brothers on their consoles and want to be like America. So shove your 3-game grand final series up your bum and just kick the goal and get on with it.
What about any of your mates down at Wyndhamvale, mate? How would they comment on some of your goal celebrations while you're the FIFO Western District star down that way?
Well, how many celebrations can they reflect on, Shane? Like if it was 1 or 2 times, they're reflecting on a lot of things. We need a whole show dedicated. So
it's a long show.
Maybe that may be the end of season specialty there, Nico celebrations. Lads, if you have any footage of it, feel free to send it through. Gents, let's get these tips up and running for next week's game. Have we had any news on when the match is being rescheduled to? I didn't see that.
No, there's no news, but I don't understand why as soon as it's going to affect more than one club now. They should have just played it this week.
Yeah, should have been a Wednesday hit out.
They should have played it this week, and now that
16-minute. Yeah,
that's why they play 16-minute quarters. So that's probably why people are saying it's 16 minutes, it's boring and whatever. But this is the reason why, even though it was positive, negative, positive, we don't know. That's why it's all in play. It's unprecedented times. I hate that word because everyone keeps saying it, but play it this week, and you only affect 2 clubs. Now you're going to be affecting more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed, Nico.
All right, gents. Let's smash through this in 14 and 40 seconds. But Sydney versus Western Bulldogs. This is going to be an interesting one. Mate, I will jump in. I'm going to go Sydney for nothing else than... Oh, shit. I'll go Sydney. Fuck it. Shano?
Where is it? Is it in Sydney or is it...
It's in Sydney, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, doggies then. I've got no idea. This is guesswork. It's incredible.
Nick?
I think Scotty West and Jose Romero will lead from the front and the Western Bulldogs will win.
Yes.
All right.
Fair enough. Not bad. Mickey Gayfer and those sort of guys. This is great. I like this, Nico.
Giddy up.
I'll keep the theme. I'll keep the theme going. Go on, Nathan.
Thank you.
Right. Collingwood GWS. I'll jump on to Collingwood right there. 10 goals plus. Shane?
Eyes 39.
39. Nico, is there any chance that GWS will show up here?
We don't have a good record up there.
Ooh.
But at $1.77, kids, roll Collingwood into 4 or 5 weird gaming shortened price things.
The esports are back, baby.
Esports. Get on there.
Woo!
Collingwood into 4 esports, but make sure they're on at odd times so you wake up with a little gift in your account because you're not going to start. Yeah, Collingwood.
Breakfast of champions, waking up to an esports win.
Yeah.
All happening. All happening. All right, Nico. Port Adelaide v West Coast Eagles.
Yeah, so if we were real media pundits, you'd say something like, this is the game that West Coast say that we are still here because we're playing the team that's on top of the ladder and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, it's round 4. West Coast should win this game of football, and they will.
Oh,
Shano.
Well, I'll go the power. I think West Coast are not a bad side, and I know they want to get home, but they'll be home soon, and I think they'll go out well. But I think Port just.
Port will get up, and Charlie Dixon will kick 4. Shane, your boys, St Kilda versus Richmond. This is an intriguing game, to be fair.
It is.
Will be wanting to respond, but so will your boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's Maddie's match, so those please give generously. It's a very important campaign led by Nick and Jack for their for Nick's sister Maddie from some time ago now. But please give generously. Buy something purple. But go the Saints. I don't like hitting the reigning premier coming off a pretty average loss in a 9 to 10 day break. So I'll go with the heart as always. Go the Saints. Woo.
Nico?
Will Dusty be back, boys? Have you heard the whispers there? Dusty's
no idea. It doesn't matter. I'm tipping Richmond.
Yeah, he's been training. Yep, unfortunately.
He has. Yeah. Richmond should win. I'll keep up my tipping weirdness. I'd like to see Richmond to win. Sorry, Shane. If Richmond don't win, it's a weird year.
They're done. No. They're done. Come on, Nico.
Go on. What do you got?
Come on.
Richmond's history. Richmond have a strong history of doing stupid things. If Richmond don't win this, people would start saying it's time for Hardwick to move on. Like that's
absolutely. Yeah, Cotton should retire. Yep.
Yeah, but they'll start throwing all those ones out. So Richmond should win, but don't be surprised if the Saints are playing good footy, St Kilda. Forget the fact that they couldn't match it with the Muhammad Ali of the competition.
Thanks, Nico.
Essendon v Carlton. These are all intriguing matchups, gentlemen, in a very intriguing season. Nick, Carlton, Essendon, who have you got?
I think what's that week off going to look like for Essendon? Who knows? What Carlton's best and worst are they're a bipolar football side, and Essendon are a basket case football club. Could we have our second draw? We could, but we won't. Carlton will win.
I'm with you, Nico.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Oh, sorry, Nathan.
I think we'll all go. No, Shane, you jump in, brother. I'm with you both, I think. Shane?
Blue Baggers. I just, it's too early in the season to have a week off. I think they need to get some routines and regularity back in their footy, and they haven't exactly been lighting the competition up. So I think the Bombers will struggle after whatever they've done. Maybe an internal scratch match at Tullamarine, but the Baggers, get on them.
Amen. I'm going to go my boys Gold Coast Suns over Freo, but I do think it'll be a lot closer than people think it will. Nick?
Yeah, as I said earlier in the show, I said that people will now be aware of the Suns. I think this is going to sound funny. It's going to sound like, but I'm going to say if Ross Lyon was coaching Fremantle would win this game, even though it's boring. But I think the Suns might just get up, but I think Fremantle's more expansive game style might suit the new Suns approach. They need to be strangled, these kids, the way they're just running free. Ross Lyon to do that, I think the Suns will just get up.
Yep, Shane? I think it'll be close. I think it'll be super close, Nico. No talk of changing in the guard between Fife and Rao. There'll be some moment at some stage where Rao gets to it first and wins a contested footy. I don't want to hear it. Fife's still one of the best in the top 2 or 3 in the league. So anyway, looking forward to seeing Real against a bona fide midfield bull similar to him. So, but yeah, the Suns by a couple.
All right. And this very well could be the biggest margin of the week. The Lions versus the Crows. The Crows in all sorts. Lions for me. Nico, jump in.
Well, I hadn't written anything down. I'll show you my notes I took on this game. Right there.
Fantastic.
Nothing at all, but I'll say this: the Lions. This will be the biggest margin. You hit it, Nathan. This is the chance of being like a Lions at $1.13. You want some value? Go 100 plus. This could be huge here. This could be off the scale. 100 plus. Just have a crack at it. Why not? Adelaide are terrible, and Brisbane get another little cushion at the Gabba. Yeah, 100 plus. Shane?
Into Charlie 6 goals plus. He'll want to rub it in. He'll want to embarrass them. So, yeah, happy with that. Let's get on. So I'm sure there's a more learned soul out there in Twitter sphere who can Lions by 100 plus into Charlie with 6 plus. I'm sure there's a bit of value there for us.
Let us know in the comments, kids. Whoever's the best mathematician, it ain't myself. We've got Melbourne versus Geelong. For me, Geelong will bounce back well against Melbourne. Shano?
Tight. Geelong maybe. Geelong just.
Nico, Shane going just. I'm going, mate, 5 goals there, easy.
It's another one where you go, what happens with Melbourne with the week off? Is it a good thing, a bad thing? I don't know. On paper doesn't play. Geelong win. Geelong should win. Does Gary Ablett miss from 25 out directly in front ever again? No, probably not. Geelong should win.
Geelong it is. Hawthorn versus North Melbourne. There we go. Hawthorn for mind after that comfortable game there. Shane?
Kangas will bounce back. They were terrible. They were excellent the first couple of weeks. They were terrible for significant periods, and they were still in the match against the Swannies. So I'm all on the Roos. Hopefully with Cunnington back in there as the midfield general.
Fair enough. Nico, where you got this one, brother?
Before I give my tip, can we just go interactive? Lenny, one of our loyal viewers, wants to know what's the chances of Charlie Cameron defeating Adelaide off his own boot.
Ooh.
That's a very good second. Because if you're saying that if you're tipping Charlie to kick 6, I don't think Adelaide will kick 5.
Ooh.
So maybe we'll explore that one with Neds or with Sportsbet or with CrownBet or one of the many companies that we look to. But back to Hawthorn, North Melbourne. I said Hawthorn were no good at the start of the year. I don't know what happened against Richmond. North Melbourne should win this game of footy. Nathan?
Fantastic. Well, that about rounds it out. I've got no idea who's winning the tips from last week. We should probably tailor them up for the next show. But, boys, let's go into the short pass. Nicky J, what's your short pass we should look forward to this week, whether it be football or just the wider political circle, which you are so in touch with?
Not sure how the political talk went down last week. My short pass this week is a bit of a tribute and a bit of a get the full story before you pass comment. Sam Newman and Channel 9 parted ways during the week. There's been no greater entertainer in Australian television history than Sam Newman. You got your Graham Kennedys, your Bert Newtons. Sam Newman did it live. He did it different, sometimes controversial, but at the end of the day, he kept the viewers coming. And I know towards the end, the footy show started to lose numbers, and that shouldn't be a reflection on what Sam Newman provided as an entertainer back in his days of World of Sport. So my short pass this week is a tribute to Sammy. He's got a podcast that is very entertaining. If you like listening to 3 old men be grumpy about absolutely everything, but it is humorous at times. So I raise a Southern Comfort tonight to the great Sammy Newman.
Amen. Shane, brother, where's your short pass going?
That the Victorian government and the MCG will come out and guarantee that the great AFL Grand Final will be held in Melbourne this year. They will blackmail, they will pester, they will annoy, they will go full on with the AFL to ensure that the game is there. even if there's not a whole corporate outing there, I believe that they will let it all hang out in terms of making sure that the MCG is the host of this year's grand final. They don't want to lose it once, because that means that, similar to the state of origin, the rugby league, then things start to eventuate and then people go shopping for other locations. So I know it's uncertain times and unprecedented and all these sorts of things, but they won't want to lose it. They're a little bit arrogant with their big attractions, and they'll want to keep it at all costs.
I love it. Gents, I'm going to go my short pass to our raving fan base. Who would have thought 3 gents just jumping on and talking absolute shit with no preparation would get as much traction as it has very, very early in. So 4,500 views is just a little bit ridiculous. It's a bit nauseating when you think of those huge numbers. So I want to thank you all. I know, surprisingly, we got a lot of Indian fans. So welcome Indians, welcome Russians, and
oh my
of course,
goodness,
Australians.
Kohli watching? Is Virat Kohli watching? He must have seen all the love I've given him on social media over the years.
I think so, mate. I'm a big fan of Virat, to be fair. I think the way he goes about his game is very Australian-like. And look, a lot of Australians don't like it when someone gives a little bit of arrogance and backs it up, as we like to play our game. But yeah, my short pass goes to the fans. And just in time to wrap it up, gents, always a pleasure. Shane, Nick, see you next week at 7:30. We'll check in for.
Thanks, Nathan.
We're back,
Nathan.
baby.
Go on, Nico. See you, boys.
Thanks, see you guys. Go